YouTubies, I'm Grant, this is The Garage, this is Granty's Garage, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to replace a water pump and a thermostat on a Porsche 986 and then bleed the coolant. To access, remove and replace the water pump and thermostat, you are going to need car lifty and car lifted safely buoy equipment, a T30 Torx bit and a 10mm socket and something to spin them with to remove the under tray, a 24mm socket or spanner and something to spin the socket with to remove the auxiliary belt, pliers or clip squeezy buoys for removing the clips on the hoses, something to cut the gasket with for the water pump, snips in my case, a bucket or a catch tray for the coolant. This one's for illustration purposes, get one much bigger than this. And every iteration you have of a 10mm for getting the bolts out of both the thermostat and the water pump, as well as off of the front-facing engine cover. And these are the things that you are going to want if you have them available. Any kind of power tool that lets you turn any of the other aforementioned elements, because you're going to do a lot of spinning. The socket that fits your wheel lugs if you might remove the wheel to improve your access. And my God, you want some gloves for this one. This video is part of a playlist that I'm putting together specifically for maintaining, working on and modifying these cars. So if you're interested, please consider subscribing. If you want to do other jobs on your car in the future, consider checking out the videos in the playlist and drop a comment below of what video I should make next that would be most helpful to you. Now, just before we get started, I am going to do a switcheroo on you. I'm not going to be doing this job on my own car. I recently put out a post saying that if there's anybody, even semi-local, who would fancy a hand getting some DIY-able jobs done and maybe wasn't feeling particularly confident on one of these cars, give me a shout. It's about getting it in and getting it done. The whole idea of doing this for the channel is to help people feel more confident to do some of these jobs themselves. These are easy to work on cars for the most part. We want to keep as many of them on the road and going as we can and teach as many people as possible. So Steve, a member from one of the online groups, brought his Boxster down and we did the water pump, and this is how it went. The first two things that you need to do in order to do this job is put the car in service mode and jack it up. If you don't know how to put the car in service mode, there's a link to another video in the description. I'll try and make it turn up in the top corner like a fancy YouTuber. When jacking up the car from the rear, I like to use this point here. I'm at the back of the car, as you can see, and then I can lift both of the back wheels off at the same time. Caught some slack for that in a previous video doing the oil change. Always done it like that, never had any issues. Here I'm just in front of the rear wheel and your jack stand should go on this point here. Once the car's in service mode, remove whatever you have here. If you have the storage or the speaker, lift up this piece of carpet and you'll find 1, 2, and repeat on the same side, plastic screw caps that actually can just be undone normally with your finger. Spin them off, all 4, and then lift this piece of carpet up and out of the way. You'll then have access to this front engine compartment cover. You'll remove these bolts all around the edge that are 10mm and lift that out of the way to give you access. You'll then have access to the accessory belt. If you put your 24mm socket or spanner on here, you can take the tension off of the belt. If this is your first time, you might want to just take a picture for reference of the route that the belt goes, but turn this clockwise, it will release the tension and you can remove the belt. We're now moving under the car. There's a small piece of under tray at the rear of this section that you'll want to remove to just improve your access to the pump and thermostat there. This is held on with a Torx bolt in this hole. And then you move to the outside, and on each side you have 2 Torx bits that you need your Torx bit for and a 10mm bolt. You'll then be able to remove the back piece of this tray. In the boot or trunk, you'll then remove the coolant filler cap so that you can let air in the system to let the coolant come out the bottom easier. You'll then need your pliers or your grips to be able to undo this clip on the thermostat to be able to pull the hose off the back. And there's one round the front on the front of the water pump here. You can take off more if you want, but you only need to do those two. Once they're removed, pull the hoses off and let the coolant that's going to come out into your bucket. This one is obviously much bigger than the one shown at the beginning of the video. Moving back up to the front compartment from the interior cabin, here's the water pump down in the bottom left. There's 4 bolts on the top that are 10mm that need to be undone to get it out. And underneath there are 3 more. There is one here and here. And then there's another one just out of picture obscured by this hose here. 10mm, undo them. For the thermostat there are 4 bolts, 10mm again. 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th is just above where you can see the outlet. Once you've removed the pump, you'll find you have access to most of the gasket. However, the gasket is actually a dual gasket because there's another piece to it. Most people will just cut this piece at this point across the 3 points where it connects, and that's what you need the snips for. You can see me holding the old one up to the new one so you can see roughly whereabouts you're going to cut. You're not going to be able to cut any piece that you're in need of keeping. On your new gasket, you're going to want to mimic this, and the best thing to do is cut as close to this new gasket as possible, because then you'll know you'll have no interference from the remaining piece of the old gasket, as you can see here. This is the new thermostat and gasket for that. Nice and shiny, all ready to go into the car. Some small considerations for the water pump. 2 of the bolts will be longer than the others, and they go in these 2 holes here. And then with the gasket, you'll find most of the holes are circles, but 2 of them will probably not be quite complete circles. These are to help you place the gasket and it not move as you're installing the pump. And I'd recommend you place it against the pump prior. You'll then put the 2 bolts through the holes that are not quite circles. They should provide just enough resistance to hold the bolt in place, and go and place these 2 in first as you replace the water pump, the opposite of you extracting it, and then the gasket will not move as you go and put the rest of the bolts in. Reverse what you did to take the 2 of these out, as you can see we've done here. Make sure you reattach your hoses, open the clamps, move them over and have them seat where they want to be nice and tight, and make sure you tighten up the bolts in a star pattern. Then in the reverse of loosening it and taking it off, make sure you reinstall your auxiliary belt the right way round. You then need to start adding in coolant. It's a good idea to keep an idea of how much came out. These cars can take up to 19 litres, I'm told. We had about 10 come out, so we're going to put the first 5 in straight away. And you just fill this in this area where we've removed the cap, as you can see. To bleed the system, remove both the oil filler cap and the coolant filler cap, and then the black sheet that sits underneath them. Moving this out of the way will reveal this bleeder valve. Turn this silver clip to the top and that will break the vacuum, and that will allow any air that's still trapped in there to rise to the top as you start bleeding the system. You'll need to run the car up to its normal operating temperature, check that the fans come on and the thermostat kicks into action, and when it's warm, occasionally, over a period of 2.5 minutes, rev the car to 5,000 RPM every 30 seconds. This will burp the system properly. As you do this, you'll see the level go down at the front of the coolant tank. Just make sure you're filling up, and you want it to just sit just under the max line when you're done. Once you're done, you can lower the car, take it out of service mode, and now we can just take a second to admire Steve's wheels that I'm very jealous of.
I said to the missus, I've got this guy Steve coming over Sunday.
So there you have changing the water pump thermostat in a Porsche 986. If you found that video helpful, please do give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more videos of how to on this car, as well as other stuff that we do. Follow us at Granty's Garage on Instagram, which is easily the best place to reach me if you might want to bring your car down and do a job. I hope that's helped at least one person feel more confident to give this job a go. Thanks very much for watching.